Thinking of exiting your business or taking on a private equity partner to help you grow faster? BizNexus has you covered. Tap into our network of thousands of best-fit investors, acquirers, and proven M&A advisors, and we'll help you begin the relationship confidentially on your terms, your timeline. Learn more at biznexus.com.
Disclaimer from the always present legal team. Podcast conversations don't necessarily reflect the views of BizNexus Incorporated. Everything you hear is informational news and updates from around the industry. We're not recommending any investments. We're not offering any investment advice. Be sure to do your own homework.
All right, let's take another deep dive. Today, business acquisition, specifically buying a business, no money down. And we've got some great material to dig into, including this post by Mike Finger. It really got people fired up.
Yeah, you could say that. His prediction about 2024 being the peak of that no money down trend, it really sparked some debate.
Totally. I was reading through the comments and I could practically feel like the heat coming off the screen. Some folks really defending those deals, others saying it's all a scam.
Yeah, and the thing is, Mike himself, he's got a pretty impressive track record, 4 successful exits from businesses. And in his post, he uses this analogy. He says, I saw someone slam dunk a basketball, pay me $10K, and I'll teach you how.
That's a good one.
Really gets at, I think, his skepticism of these programs promising instant success with almost no effort.
Right, so let's break down his argument a little more. He seems to be saying, okay, maybe there are legitimate ways to structure a deal with, minimal upfront cash. But the real problem is how much these no-money-down gurus oversimplify things and the unrealistic expectations they create.
Exactly. It's like they're selling a shortcut to wealth, and, well, shortcuts rarely lead to anything sustainable.
Like, remember Bobby Butler in the comments on Mike's post?
Yeah.
He talked about losing $10,000 because he fell for one of those schemes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
His story really shows the impact these schemes can have on people. It's not just about money. It's about shattered dreams. Like, it really erodes trust.
And it really highlights something that kept coming up in the comments, which is the importance of doing your due diligence.
Yeah.
Jason Robertson, another commenter, I think he put it best when he said, if someone's selling you a shortcut to success, they're usually the only ones making money.
No truer words spoken. It's a good reminder, right? There's just no substitute for research and really understanding the business you're thinking of buying. But I do want to acknowledge the other side of the argument. I mean, I've heard people say that Mike's being a bit too cynical and that there are legitimate ways to buy a business with minimal upfront cash.
Oh, definitely.
Neil Isaacs, for example, he was on David Barnett's podcast recently, and he thinks Mike's really underestimating how gullible people can be.
Yeah, and there are alternative financing options like seller financing, creative deal structures, things like that. But even the people who advocate for those methods, they still emphasize that buyers need to have some skin in the game.
So it's less about the amount of money down and more about showing you're committed, that you're invested in the business succeeding.
Exactly. Having some financial stake, it shows the seller you're serious, helps manage risk. It's about aligning incentives and making sure that both parties are motivated to make the deal work.
That makes a lot of sense. So it seems like the real issue isn't the idea of no money down itself, but more about how it's often presented. Like this quick, easy road to riches. It's the oversimplification and that lack of emphasis on due diligence that, really sets off alarm bells for people like Mike and a lot of those commenters.
I think you've got it. The problem is these schemes, they prey on people's aspirations, their desire for a quick fix. They kind of gloss over the hard work, the planning, the inherent risks of buying a business.
Which brings us back to due diligence. It seems like that's the one thing everyone agrees on in this whole discussion. Everyone from the skeptics, like Mike Finger, to the people who believe in those alternative financing methods, they all stress the need for research and careful evaluation.
Absolutely. Due diligence, it's the foundation of any good business acquisition. It's about protecting yourself, making smart decisions, and ultimately increasing your chances of success.
Okay, so due diligence is crucial. But what does that actually look like? I mean, what are the key areas you should focus on when you're evaluating a business you might want to buy?
That is the question, isn't it?
So before the break, we were really getting into the whole due diligence thing. But, it's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot. So what does it actually look like when you're trying to buy a business? What are the steps you should be taking?
Right, good question. Think of due diligence like putting on your detective hat. You're really going to investigate every single part of the business.
Okay, I like that, the detective analogy. So where do we start our investigation then? What are the first clues we should be looking for?
Well, first things first, you got to dive into those financials. I mean, profit and loss statements, balance sheets, cash flow statements, tax returns, you name it.
So not just skimming the surface, we're going deep. We're trying to really understand the financial health of the business.
Exactly. You want to see, consistent profits, healthy margins, strong cash flow. And don't be shy about asking tough questions. Like, if you see a sudden jump in revenue, you got to dig in and understand why. Was it a one-time thing, or is it something that's going to keep happening?
So it's about the story behind the numbers, right? Not just the numbers themselves. What else should our inner detective be on the lookout for?
Yeah, you want to zoom out a little bit. Look at the market that this business is operating in. So what are the trends in that industry? Is the market growing, shrinking? Who are the big competitors and what are they good at? What are they, not so good at?
So it's not just about the business on its own. It's about understanding where it fits in the bigger picture, right? What are some of the tools people can use to get that kind of market intelligence?
Oh, there's a ton of stuff out there. I mean, you've got industry reports, market research databases, but honestly, sometimes it's as simple as talking to customers and suppliers. The key is to get a complete view of the market and understand who the competition is.
This all makes sense, but to be honest, it can feel a bit overwhelming, especially if you're new to this whole buying a business thing. Any tips for making due diligence a little less, I don't know, daunting?
Definitely. I think one thing that helps is to break it down into smaller chunks. Focus on one area at a time. Financials, market research, legal stuff. You don't have to do it all at once.
So like eating an elephant, right? One bite at a time.
Exactly. And also, don't be afraid to get help from people who know what they're doing. A good lawyer, an accountant, a business broker, these guys can be super valuable during due diligence. They can help you understand the data, spot those red flags, and just make better decisions overall.
Makes sense. So let's say we've got our financial statements, our market research, our team of experts. What's next on the due diligence checklist?
Yes. The legal stuff. You'll want to look at every contract, every lease, permits, basically any legal document that could affect the business.
Okay, so we're putting on our lawyer hat now. What are some of the legal traps we should be looking out for?
Things like, are there any lawsuits going on? Are they following all the regulations? What about intellectual property rights? Any outstanding debts or things they owe money for? It's really crucial to understand the legal side of things and any risks there might be.
Yeah, it sounds like it can get complicated pretty fast. I guess that's where having a good lawyer really comes in handy.
Big time. A good lawyer can help you navigate all that stuff and make sure you're protected.
All right, so we've covered the money, the market, the legal stuff. Is there anything else? What's the final piece of this due diligence puzzle?
Oh, don't forget about the people. Looking at the human capital of a business is just as important as all those numbers.
Right, you're talking about the management team, the employees, the whole culture of the company.
Exactly. You want to understand how good the leadership is, how engaged the employees are, the overall vibe of the place.
It's about feeling the heartbeat of the business, I guess you could say.
Exactly. You want to know if people are excited about their work, if they feel appreciated, and if they believe in the direction of the company. That stuff can really make or break a business in the long run.
Okay, so now we have a pretty solid due diligence checklist. But I'm guessing there's some red flags too, some warning signs that should make buyers think twice.
Oh, absolutely. And those red flags, they often go hand in hand with those no money down schemes we were talking about earlier. Remember all those promises about easy money and success without the effort? Well, a lot of times that's hiding some deeper problems within the business.
So what are some of the things that should make us hit the pause button and really think about whether we want to go through with a deal?
Well, one of the biggest ones is a lack of transparency. If the seller doesn't want to share financial information, or they're not really answering your questions, or they don't want you to do your own independent due diligence, that's a huge red flag.
It's like dating, right? If someone's hiding things, it's probably not going to end well.
Exactly. Another one is if the revenue or profits have been going down. Now, there could be good reasons for that, but you have to figure out what those reasons are and if things are likely to turn around.
So it's about figuring out if it's a temporary setback or if it's a sign of bigger problems.
Right. And speaking of bigger problems, be careful with businesses that rely too much on one customer or one supplier.
Yeah, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, as they're saying.
Exactly. And last but not least, pay attention to why the owner is selling. Are they retiring, moving, or are they trying to get out before the business goes under? Understanding their motivation can give you a lot of insight into how healthy the business really is.
It's about reading between the lines, huh? So we've covered a lot, from the nitty-gritty of financial stuff to the importance of the people involved. But I bet our listeners are thinking, okay, this is great, but how do I actually find these businesses that are out there?
That's the million-dollar question, and it's one we're going to tackle head-on in the next part of our deep dive. We'll be exploring all the different ways to find those hidden gems out there, from working with business brokers to using your own network.
Sounds good. So stay tuned, everyone. We're about to unlock the secrets to finding the perfect business for you. All right, so we're back, and we talked about all this stuff, the no money down myth, due diligence, what to actually look for in a business. But now let's get to the real question. How do you find these businesses? It can feel kind of like looking for a needle in a haystack.
It can be tough, yeah, but there are ways to find those hidden gems. First thing, though, you got to be really clear on what you're looking for.
Right, like making a wish list for your dream business.
Exactly. So what industry are you into? What size business are you thinking? Where do you want it to be? Answering those questions will help you narrow things down and make your search a lot easier.
So we've got our wish list. Now, where do we start hunting?
Well, working with business brokers can be really effective. They're kind of like real estate agents, but for businesses. They've got access to a lot of listings, and they can connect you with sellers who might be a good match.
So like the matchmakers of the business world. What's the advantage of using a broker?
Well, they can save you a ton of time and hassle. They screen businesses beforehand, handle the initial talks, and they can help you through the whole process, which can be pretty complicated.
So having a broker can really smooth things out. What about other resources? Anything else out there for people who want to be business owners?
Yeah, online marketplaces are a great option too. Websites like BizBuySell and businessesforsale.com have tons of listings, and you can search by the criteria we were talking about.
Like online shopping for a business. What should you be looking for when you're checking out those listings?
Definitely look closely at the financial info, the owner's description of the business and why they're selling, and don't be afraid to contact the seller directly, ask questions, get a better feel for the opportunity.
So brokers, online marketplaces, any other secret weapons we can use?
Don't forget about good old-fashioned networking. Talk to people in your industry, go to events, let people know you're looking to buy.
Tapping into that hidden market, the stuff that's not officially listed.
Exactly. You never know who might have a lead or know someone who's thinking about selling.
It's all about who you know. Okay, so let's say we found a few businesses that look promising. What are some of the red flags to watch out for during due diligence? Those things that should make you run the other way.
Well, one of the biggest ones, and we touched on this before, is a lack of transparency. If a seller isn't upfront with information, doesn't really answer your questions, or won't let you do your own due diligence, that's a big problem. Remember what Damien Pastifa said, it's unlikely you'll get something valuable for nothing.
Yeah, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. What other red flags should we be looking out for?
Things like inconsistent financial data, a lot of employees quitting, or a business that depends too much on one customer or one supplier.
All signs that there might be something bigger going on, right?
Exactly. And remember, buying a business is a huge decision. Don't rush it. Take your time, do your homework, and trust your instincts. If something feels off, walk away.
That's good advice. So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, the whole no money down thing, how important due diligence is, and how to actually find and evaluate businesses.
And as we wrap up, I want to leave everyone with this. Owning a business can be amazing, but it's not easy. It takes hard work, dedication, and yeah, a willingness to take some risks. But if you plan carefully, do your due diligence, and have that entrepreneurial spirit, you can find that perfect business to help you succeed.
That's it for today, everyone. We hope you've learned a lot. Remember, the knowledge is out there and the opportunities are waiting. Happy humping.
Acquiring a business? BizNexus simplifies it. Access thousands of updated opportunities in our DIY marketplace or supercharge team sourcing with OmniSource, your all-in-one platform for on-market, off-market, and coming-soon deals. Scale smarter today. Learn more or book a demo at www.biznexus.com.